So you're going through all the job websites now, you're going to job fairs, you're looking at sites, you're looking at all the requirements, and you're doing everything. Here are 5 things to have in mind as you apply for these jobs. Stay tuned. Hello, and my name's Janet. This is my channel, Diaspora Doodles, where I get to open my life to you like a book so that you can go through the pages, see that I've lived on 6 continents, speak 7 languages, have 2 children who come with me, third culture kids who make my life complete. And yeah, with the hopes that this will encourage you to get into this profession and help UNESCO with the 65 million teacher shortage. How are we ever going to make how are we ever going to meet that 65 million teacher shortage? We shall see. Here are the tips for you so you can help with that. So the first thing you need to know, native versus non-native English speaker. So if you're one of those who want to get your credits by going through the teach English as a foreign language kind of teacher, you need to be aware that most of these countries are used to a certain look when it comes to teaching. And if you're like me, chances are that many schools will be a little bit hesitant, or many language centers will be a little bit hesitant about employing you. Fear not. There are countries that hire non-native speakers. You just need to make sure that you get your IELTS and show them that your proficiency in English is very, very high. And the reason why they use native and non-native speakers is because most of the schools and language centers are set up by countries like America, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and they need teachers who are from those countries to come out and teach the curriculum. However, they will not meet the 65 million teacher shortage. And that's where we come in. We are the ones who are classed as non-native because they from those countries are classed as natives. So what you can do is when you get your contract, make sure that with your IELTS you don't compromise, so that you're not cheated out of your birthright, because you're going to be doing the same jobs as the other people if you get hired. So they might want to downgrade you into you're not a native, or so. No, stand your ground, be proficient, be confident, and you will get there. We will get there. There are countries that don't care. Countries like Cambodia, countries like Thailand, they don't care. Argentina, Mexico. But there are some countries that care, and they will hammer that native versus non-native rhetoric. So please be confident when you approach them, so that even just being with you will show them that, oh, okay, you're different, and you will get the job. Well done. Now, number 2, you need to understand the visas. Now, even though the school wants you, the school doesn't have the final say when it comes to visas. They will sort the visas for you, they will do everything for you, but the country has the final say. For instance, when I got a job in China, I was in Egypt at the time, and my colleague who was going to China with me, or we were both going together, shout out to you, B. He was able to go with his wife, his Kenyan wife, and they had no problems. I went up to the embassies, to the Chinese embassy, and I was denied. Well, not denied. I was told that I had to go to my home country, Nigeria, to apply. That they didn't understand why I would have British qualifications, British experience, work in a British school, but have a Nigerian passport. Yes, you heard me right. I travel with my Nigerian passport, so it's easy. You can do it too. I could have been classed as a non-native speaker, but I'm not. I'm always classed as a native speaker because I know my soul. I know what I'm doing. I know how I put myself forward. So you can do the same thing too. Just be confident. Know what you're doing. have all your credentials sorted, everything on point. So what the school did in my case was they said, don't worry, Janet, just bring everything back to us. We will sort it. Why? Because I'd been able to convince the school at interview point that I was worth the while. I stood out during the interview and I was going to be ahead of a unit of the school. So yeah, they knew exactly what they were getting. So they were able to go the extra mile for me. They covered all the expenses, by the way. They covered the expenses for me to travel. They covered the expenses for me to travel to China with my family. So yes, that's what you get when you put a lot of energy into making yourself the fortified teacher that you can be. So get on there. The visa should not be a problem. Yes, the school will sort it. But remember, there are some countries that will still give you that, yeah, and you have to jump all the hoops with them. But if you convince the school that you're worth the while and you're worth all the struggle, they will go the extra mile for you. The third thing you need to remember on this journey is the curriculum. The curricula. Now, international schools have historically been either British or American or Australian or Canadian or IB or the IPC. The American curriculum is an Americanized curriculum in the sense that even though inside America, every state has their own jurisdiction over the curriculum, outside of the country, the schools are set up in such a way that it still has the American history, American geography, American everything. So you would get schools like that look like schools that run the Common Core back in the United States. The British curriculum is the same. It's what we who studied in the United Kingdom would call the national curriculum for England and Wales. It's not different. It's not even adapted. Sometimes they just slap it straight into the schools outside of the country. But they call it the British curriculum when it's outside of the country, so that it's not a mouthful national curriculum for England and Wales, that sort of thing. Yeah. The next set of schools would be the Canadian schools, who would run the Canadian curriculum, and it will have the Canadian history, geography, and all of that, followed by the Australian. The Australian schools are not as prolific, but they're there. They're just not, they're not that many out there, but they're there. And if you're going to be teaching in a school that's running the Australian curriculum, you'd be expected to teach the history, the geography. Do not let that deter you from applying. Please apply. I will show you how, in this video, in another video, I will show you how I was able to come from Nigeria to the UK and I teach British history like a pro. As a matter of fact, there are some schools I've been to and they just leave the history to me. They're like, Janet, this is your segment, this is your baby. You know what to do. Take it and run with it. Because I got myself fortified. Like I said, when you want the school to know that you're worth your weight in gold, you put as much energy into fortifying yourself and making yourself stand out. So yes, I will be showing you that later on. The next thing you need to have in mind, and this happened to a friend of mine, is the local versus the non-local contract. Okay, so local, non-local, local, expatriate, same thing. So some schools will find a way to push you onto a local contract. When they give you a local contract, they will not pay for your return flight. They will not pay for your accommodation. They will not pay for medical bills. They'll just give you a salary and that's it. You sort yourself. That means you're being paid like a local teacher. But are you local? No, you're international. That means where they have had maybe family members or years or decades or centuries of building up wealth in that country, you're coming from and you're hitting the ground running. So try to go for schools that will pay you a non-local contract. That means an expatriate contract. I use that word and we'll be covering that and why I say it. So let's get on with this one. Now, I had a friend who was employed once as an expat teacher. However, when the school went through some turbulence, some teachers who were married to locals were downgraded to local contracts. Some teachers who for one reason or the other had stayed there for up to 5 years were downgraded to local contracts. Some of us who did not have any ties to the country stayed on our expat contract and we still got all the benefits. So be very careful when it comes to contracts like that. And the final thing you need to be sure of and to be aware of when you apply and when you're looking through those jobs and what they're saying that they're going to give you is something to cover your dependents. You don't want to go to a country where your children are not taken care of. I've always traveled with my children, and all the places I've gone to did not have a brother or a sister there waiting for me. No mother, no father, no relative, no support. So I was all on my own. So I was basically starting from scratch. I didn't want a country where I would be struggling with my children, because as soon as my children start struggling, I would struggle as well. My job will suffer and everything will collapse around me. So what I did from the get-go, as I'm looking through the job specifications, I'm looking at jobs that will offer me cover for my dependents. That means tuition free for my dependents. If the school was giving me return flights, my dependents will be getting return flights as well. This is necessary because you don't want to go there and start spending a lot of money. Remember, you don't have any support there. The school is your support system. So make sure as you're looking through those jobs, you're looking at the jobs that will offer you this. At least let them cover your visa. Let them pay for your visa. Let them pay for your return flights. Let them pay for things. And if they're not paying for all those things, then there should be something else that you're getting in return. For instance, there are teachers who leave Africa, for instance, and go to the UK. I've never been against that. Then go to the UK, you'll pay an exorbitant amount of money to get your visa, and you will have to pay it yourself. But the good thing about it is that there's a pension plan when you get onto the system. You pay your national insurance, medical and health is free. You pay for it, but it's free at the point of use. So there are benefits to going to countries like that. If you go to the US, for instance, make sure that because you're not going to be getting something. Health is not, we know what health is like in the US. So you have to think about all these things when you're moving with your family, and think about how it encompasses your dependents as well. Thank you for listening to me to this point, and I hope that these are useful points for you. Remember to leave your comments in the comments box below, and like, subscribe, and share as our family grows. Thank you very much for coming, and have a good week ahead.